You're all welcome to today's deep news analysis. This is not noise. This is not gossip. This is a deep, calm, and serious breakdown of a story shaking Nigeria right now. If you care about justice, power, and how decisions at the top affect real lives, stay with me till the end. Before we go in, please subscribe, like this video, and turn on your notification bell so you don't miss clear and honest analysis like this. Now let's begin. Let's go straight to the point. Some days ago, something happened that many Nigerians did not expect, but many also feared would happen. Justice Omotosho, the judge who handled the Nnamdi Kanu case, was summoned by the International Criminal Court, ICC. This did not come out of nowhere. It was the result of a chain of events that began on November 20th, the day Nnamdi Kanu was sentenced to life imprisonment. That judgment landed hard. Not just on Kanu's supporters, but on the entire justice system. Life imprisonment is the highest punishment short of death. It is final. It is heavy. And once such a sentence is given, the world watches closely to see if every rule was followed. After the sentence, Nnamdi Kanu was moved far away from his base to Sokoto prison. That move alone raised questions. Why Sokoto? Why that distance? Why that timing? But those questions were still local. What turned everything global was what followed next. Some days passed. Everything began to surface that the ICC had taken interest in the case. Not rumors. Not social media noise. Real concern. And then came the shocker. Justice Omotosho was summoned. Let this sink in. The ICC does not summon people casually. They do not react to emotions. They move only when there are claims serious enough to demand attention. From a realistic perspective, this summons points to one thing. There are allegations that something may have gone wrong in the process that led to that life sentence. This is why the story immediately moved beyond court papers and legal language. It became political. It became diplomatic. It became sensitive. In Nigeria, judges are powerful. But presidents are more powerful. And when international courts enter the picture, even presidents listen. That is why the news of Justice Omotosho meeting President Bola Tinubu matter so much. This was not a friendly visit. This was not a casual discussion. This was about the state of Nigeria's image and responsibility on the global stage. Once the ICC calls your name, the issue is no longer internal. It becomes international record. And records do not forget. The timing also matters. This summons did not happen years later. It happened some days ago, while emotions are still high and global attention is sharp. That tells us something important. The matter is active. It is alive. It is being watched. For many Nigerians, this moment feels unreal. For others, it feels inevitable. Nnamdi Kanu's case has never been a normal case. From arrest to detention, from trial to sentencing, it has always carried weight beyond the courtroom. Now, with the ICC involved, the case has crossed a line that cannot be erased. This is no longer just about whether people agree or disagree with Kanu. It is about process, rights, and responsibility. And this is why Chapter 1 of this story is so critical. Because once global justice knocks, every local decision is replayed, reviewed, and questioned. What happened on November 20th opened the door. What happened some days ago pushed that door wide open. And from this point forward, nothing about this case will be quiet again. After the ICC summons, the story immediately moved to the highest level of government. Reports have confirmed that Justice Omotosho met with President Bola Tinubu. Now, let's be clear. Judges do not just walk into the president's office without reason. This is not casual. This is not social call. This is serious. The meeting raises questions every Nigerian is asking. Why now? Why would a judge who handled a high-profile case feel the need to meet the president after an international summons? The answer is simple: pressure and awareness. The ICC does not call names for no reason. When they summon someone, it means there are allegations of serious legal errors or violations that could have consequences beyond the local courts. For Justice Omotosho, this meeting is about ensuring that the process is understood, recorded, and explained. It is about clarifying the legal steps she took. It is about protecting the integrity of the court and, by extension, the justice system of Nigeria. For President Tinubu, the meeting is about control and perception. Nigeria's image on the world stage matters. Any suggestion that a life sentence may have been issued incorrectly could harm the country's reputation. And once the ICC is involved, international attention is immediate and relentless. From a realistic perspective, this meeting is damage control. Not panic, not fear, but careful, calculated action. The government needs to understand every detail. The world is watching. How the president responds matters as much as how the judge explains her actions. This situation also shows the complexity of power in Nigeria. It is not enough to make decisions inside the courtroom. Once global courts step in, decisions must consider politics, diplomacy, and public perception. Every move becomes deliberate. Every word counts. The reality is that Justice Omotosho's judgment, while final locally, is now under international scrutiny. Her meeting with Tinubu is a signal that even the highest offices in Nigeria recognize the gravity of this situation. It also reflects the way the government is responding, carefully, quietly, and strategically. No one wants mistakes amplified by global courts. No one wants reputations tarnished. And most importantly, no one wants Nigeria to appear weak or careless. For the ordinary Nigerian watching this unfold, it sends a clear message. This is bigger than a courtroom. This is bigger than one person's sentence. This is about Nigeria's credibility, authority, and respect in the world. Every detail of this meeting, though private, has implications. It affects how the public interprets justice. It affects how leaders make decisions. And it affects how Nigeria positions itself when the world is watching closely. The takeaway is sharp and simple. This is not over, and the stakes have never been higher. The actions taken behind closed doors now will shape what happens next, both at home and abroad. The ICC's interest, the summons, the meeting with Tinubu, these are signals that the case is alive, active, and far from being settled. Justice, power, and international attention are now intertwined in a way that demands careful handling. And for Nigeria, there is no turning back. Now let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture. What is happening with Nnamdi Kanu's case, Justice Omotosho, and the ICC is not just a story about one man or one judge. It is about the system, about accountability, and about Nigeria's image in the world. The life sentence given to Kanu on November 20th was already a heavy blow. Moving him to Sokoto prison added another layer of tension. Then came the ICC summons some days ago, and suddenly the case became international. This changes everything. For many Nigerians, this brings hope. It shows that even when decisions seem final, there is oversight, there is accountability, and there are limits to absolute power. The ICC doesn't act randomly. They act where there is suspicion that rights may have been violated or procedures may not have been properly followed. For the government, this brings pressure. The president, the courts, and the administration must now consider global perception alongside local authority. A misstep could affect Nigeria's credibility. It could affect foreign relations. It could affect confidence in the justice system. But let's be realistic. This is not about instant release or instant punishment. It is about process. It is about scrutiny. It is about ensuring that every step of the law was followed and every action can stand up to global examination. And here is the truth. When international courts step in, every decision, every judgment, every sentence is examined again. Nothing is hidden. Nothing is ignored. For Nigerians watching closely, this is a moment to reflect. It is a moment to ask tough questions. Was the life sentence fair? Were all legal rights observed? Was the process transparent? These questions will not go away simply because local authorities say so. The ICC, the world, and history will hold answers. This is also a reminder of how power works in Nigeria. Power is not just about positions. It is about influence, timing, perception, and being able to respond when pressure rises. The Omotosho-Tinubu meeting shows that even the highest offices understand this reality. For Kanu supporters, for ordinary citizens, and for the government, the The message is clear. Nothing is final until all the facts are accounted for. The eyes of the world are watching. Nigeria cannot act in silence. This case has already crossed borders. It has moved from a courtroom in Nigeria to a global stage. And the impact of this will last far beyond one trial, one sentence, or one judge. Justice, scrutiny, and truth are now intertwined in a way that cannot be ignored. For Nigeria, this is more than a story. It is a test of integrity, responsibility, and accountability at the highest levels. The future of this case will shape how Nigeria is seen at home and abroad. It will shape confidence in the courts, trust in leadership, and belief in justice. And that is why this story, from November 20th to today, matters to every Nigerian. Because in the end, justice is not just about law, it is about the credibility of a nation and the rights of its people. As we bring this story together, it is important to understand that what is happening with Nnamdi Kanu, Justice Omotosho, and the ICC is not a small or isolated matter. It is a defining moment in Nigeria's recent history, and it carries implications that go far beyond one man, one judge, or one government office. The life sentence handed down to Nnamdi Kanu on November 20th marked a turning point. For many, it was a judgment that settled a long-standing legal issue. For others, it was a spark that lit a fire of concern and debate over fairness, legality, and due process. The move of Kanu to Sokoto prison added weight to that sentence, signaling the seriousness with which the government viewed the case. Yet, as we have seen, a sentence, no matter how decisive, does not exist in isolation. Every legal decision carries with it consequences, both locally and globally. When the International Criminal Court, ICC, became involved and summoned Justice Omotosho some days ago, the situation entered a new phase. The ICC is not an entity that steps in lightly. A summons from them suggests scrutiny, concern, and questions about whether proper procedures were followed. It is an indication that what happens in Nigeria does not stay in Nigeria. The global community is watching, and any misstep has consequences that can reach far beyond the courtroom. Justice Omotosho's meeting with President Bola Tinubu is a reflection of this reality. This was not a casual meeting. It was a deliberate step taken to ensure that the processes followed in Kanu's trial and sentencing can withstand both local and international scrutiny. It signals a recognition that accountability and transparency are no longer optional when decisions are of such magnitude. The meeting shows the intersection of law, politics, and diplomacy. How high-level decisions are shaped by more than just legal interpretations but also by global perception and strategic response. From a broader perspective, this entire situation demonstrates how interconnected power, justice, and governance have become. A local court decision can quickly become an international issue. A judge's judgment can have ramifications that reach the very top of government. And a president's response can shape how the world views the country. In Nigeria, this dynamic is magnified because legal authority, political influence, and public sentiment are all intertwined. Every decision, every step, is carefully weighed against its potential ripple effects. For ordinary Nigerians, the case carries lessons and warnings. It is a reminder that justice is never fully contained within walls of a courtroom. Legal processes must be robust, transparent, and meticulous because the consequences of error are now far-reaching. It is also a lesson in vigilance. When the highest courts and international bodies are involved, it shows that checks and balances still exist, even when local outcomes feel final. Citizens see that accountability has layers, and that no decision is beyond review when rights and procedures are questioned. The implications for Nigeria's international standing cannot be ignored. A case like this, observed by global institutions, affects perception, diplomacy, and trust. Every legal decision, every administrative action, and every response to scrutiny contributes to how the nation is viewed by other governments, investors, and international organizations. In this sense, the stakes are not merely legal, they are national. How Nigeria handles this moment reflects on the credibility of its justice system, the integrity of its leadership, and the respect it commands globally. This is not to say that the outcome will be immediate or predictable. The ICC's involvement does not automatically overturn sentences or dictate actions, but it ensures that the process is observed, questioned, and accountable. It ensures that decisions made at the highest levels are transparent enough to withstand scrutiny beyond borders. And that is a critical safeguard for any nation that claims to uphold the rule of law. In the end, this case is about far more than Nnamdi Kanu, Justice Omotosho, or even President Tinubu. It is about the principles of justice, the accountability of leaders, and the credibility of a nation. It is a moment that tests Nigeria's ability to act responsibly under pressure, to maintain fairness in high-profile cases, and to navigate the complex interplay between local law and international oversight. History will judge not only the individuals involved but also the institutions, the decisions, and the manner in which Nigeria handles such scrutiny. The eyes of the world are watching. The eyes of Nigerians are watching. And the lessons of this moment will resonate long after the headlines fade. Justice is more than a sentence. It is more than a courtroom ruling. It is the trust people place in the system, the confidence they have in their leaders, and the respect a nation earns on the global stage. What unfolds next in this case will define not only Nnamdi Kanu's fate but also the strength, resilience, and credibility of Nigeria itself. This is a defining moment. It is serious. It is sharp. And it is far from over.